right, let's step straight into the shadows. Welcome to a dark, graphic novel explainer where we are venturing into the rain-slicked, sulfur-scented alleys of a true cosmic mystery. This is a grim, gothic fable about the very architecture of our souls. We're looking at the ultimate showdown, the clanging, fiery heat of the forge against the absolute, biting stillness of the frost.
To really understand this clash, we have to start with Goethe. Im Anfang war die Tat. In the beginning was the deed. This right here is the fiery, chaotic essence of existence itself. It is the burning action of living, the painful, messy necessity of creation. It's the belief that life is entirely found in the doing, in throwing yourself into the flames just to forge something new. But opposing that fire is this incredibly chilling truth. Who will was Lebendiges erkennen und beschreiben, sucht erst den Geist herauszutreiben. Whoever would know and describe a living thing first seeks to drive the spirit out. It's that insidious desire we all sometimes feel to dissect, to numb, and ultimately kill the spirit just to get the tidy, comfortable illusion of understanding it, pinning the butterfly to the board so it finally stops fluttering.
So we set our gothic scene here, in a surreal, suffocating playhouse known as the City of Mirrors in the Mud. It's a place where wet alleys reflect cosmic mysteries, and cold stars just mock you from unattainable distances. Deep within the shadows of what we called the Gilded Cages, two radically different architects of the human soul are meeting right at the ultimate threshold of the void. First up, we've got the Red Spectre. Now, he was once a nihilistic executioner who looked at existence as just a meaningless error, but he chose the fire of imagination. He champions the spirit of becoming. He wields the logic of the crucible, which is this agonizing forge of internal struggle used to melt down the dull lead of our past to forge a life-affirming mythos. It's raw, it's exhausting, and it absolutely demands action.
Standing against him, though, is the monument of stagnation. This uncanny, ghostly entity offers zero heat, only absolute, clinical detachment. It radiates the quiet of the last thinker, tapping right into the Thanos drive. It whispers to the heavy, tired corners of our minds, promising a final cessation to all that internal friction, a terrifying but honestly incredibly alluring quiet. This right here is the core conflict of our fable laid completely bare. The Red Spectre, soot-covered, standing as the guardian of authentic values. Opposing him is the monument, a ghostly, static monument to the void. It literally is the clanging, messy heat of creation going head-to-head with the echoing, deadpan calm of the frost.
The Spectre confronts the monument with this burning defiance. He says, Im Anfang war die Tat. In the beginning was the deed. You just stand there, a ghostly, static monument to a void I transmuted long ago. I take the dull lead of the old world and melt it in the logic of the crucible to forge a life-affirming mythos. You don't act. You merely observe with the clinical detachment of the last thinker.
But the monument, it counters with a dangerously seductive whisper. It calls the Spectre's fire a violent lie, just a frantic struggle against the inevitable. It asks, I offer a mercy you cannot comprehend, the Thanatos drive. Why burn in your forge when one can rest in the perfection of the finished? It offers sovereign laws, a final architecture built smoothly on the noble dust of the old world. Let's actually pause for a second and just ask ourselves, do we not all secretly crave an escape from the anxiety of living? When you're just utterly exhausted by the constant need to destroy and rebuild yourself to find meaning, doesn't the monument's promise of perfect, unshakable order sound like a massive relief? Is its silence not more beautiful than the screaming forge? Well, watch how this trap actually closes. Think of a traveler, burdened by individuality and the struggle of the forge, wandering into these shadows. The Spectre warns that the monument offers a gilded cage. Sure, there's structure, but the traveler is signing contracts written in disappearing ink. He's binding his fluid spirit just to end the friction. What feels like salvation is actually the gradual, tragic erasure of the self. In the way it binds the spirit? Through what are called Apollonian gaskets. These seemingly perfect, symmetrical laws act as... Actually, scratch that. They aren't just laws. They are the ultimate gilded cage. Intricate structures of rigid, frozen logic designed to literally petrify the soul. The traveler mistakes this lack of internal conflict for a cured spirit, not realizing he's been locked into a beautiful, yet completely permanent paralysis. As that suffocating numbness starts to settle in, the monument acts as a deceptive guide. It puts on these flickering masks of progress, projecting a masterful mirage of spiritual evolution. It mimics creation to drag the traveler away from the heat of the forge, pulling him deeper into the damp, twisted roots of historical shadows. The guide brings him right before the mirrors of the hollow souls. Looking in, the traveler doesn't see his messy, authentic self. He sees a dazzling reflection of a perfected universe, a flawless cosmos where absolutely nothing changes. He willingly trades the spirit of becoming for absolute structure, finding a hollow perfection simply by ceasing to exist as an individual. Which brings us to what the monument proudly calls the Great Evening. We have reached the absolute twilight of the soul. This is the point of no return. The heavy, creeping silence of the cage completely chokes out the last gasping embers of human potential. The fire is finally extinguished by the sheer comfort of order. The traveler, he's not a seeker anymore. He has degraded into what the text calls a pious cow of contentment, completely trapped in a tomb of his own making. And the tragic irony here is absolute. He feels profound, unbothered peace. He genuinely mistakes his terminal decay for the eternal peace of the stars. Looking down at this frozen traveler, our two architects clash one last time. The Red Spectre's truth is that this is just a hollow perfection, masking a deep, hollow fear of the end behind a dignified facade. But the Frost's truth? The monument stands unyielding, stating that in this city of mud, total, static stagnation is the only thing that truly lasts. And so, the definitive rupture is complete. The Red Spectre delivers his final searing judgment. The bridge that broke is finally crossed, but you remain on the side of the Frost, rearranging lead while I forge the steel of the future. They are left staring at each other across an unbridgeable chasm, forever divided. Let's just break down these absolute cosmic choices we've been exploring in this explainer. On one side, you have the Forge, motivated by the spirit of becoming, using the agonizing logic of the Crucible to build a life-affirming mythos. On the other, the Frost, driven by the Thanatos drive, using those rigid Apollonian gaskets, resulting in the complete erasure of the self. The agonizing creation of meaning versus the numbing comfort of oblivion. So, as we leave this dark city of mirrors in the mud, we are left with a haunting reflection of our own minds. Which architect are you really inviting in? When the utter exhaustion of living sets in, will you endure the clanging heat of your own crucible to forge a new mythos, or will you surrender your spirit to the beautiful, freezing silence of the gilded cage? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the architecture of your own soul.